Hi everyone, Adam McIntosh from WebSan, and in this session I want to talk about forecasting costs and calculating the ROI on an AI project. This happens to be one of the major topics we run into, or what major hurdles we run into once clients start moving forward with an AI project. It's really between this and data security. So we thought this was really worth having its own standalone session about, and hopefully at the end of this you can have a better idea of the cost and how to calculate the ROI on your project. So I like to introduce this by talking about the simple fact that AI costs have been decreasing over time. And that's really helped lead to the growth of AI in general. And that's why you've seen a massive uptake in the last couple of years. The cost of these things tend to be fairly basic and fairly cost effective. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of adoption. Now, I use broad terms there because it's still very difficult to estimate the cost of any one specific project. We have a process for that, but in general, just by giving a generic idea, it can be a challenge to calculate the cost. How we go about calculating that cost is through a prototyping exercise. So once there's alignment on the goal, on the functionality that you want to implement, we tend to work with our customers to help build a prototype that facilitates, a simple basic transaction or functionality that that the client wants to implement. We'll then take that and multiply the cost of that by the volume of transactions they're anticipating for that thing, and that helps give us a basic understanding of costs. Again, those costs tend to be very affordable, but upfront, can I give you an exact number? No, it can be very difficult. So it's through that prototyping exercise that we get a better level of certainty and clarity about what the costs will be. And I also think it's important to talk about the type of solution because that has an impact of cost. So, a lot of folks are starting to dabble in M365 Copilot. The cost of that is really just the basic license, which is $40.70 Canadian or $30 USD per month. And that's on an annual commitment. If you're using a standard agent, like a out-of-the-box plug-and-play agent, whether it be in CRM or Dynamics Business Central or other systems, those are often, quite frankly, free to implement and really simple to implement, or at least have quicker implementation cycles. But you're paying for tokenization, and we'll talk about what tokens are in a moment. Copilot Studio, those solutions allow you to have a little bit more customization. So there's a little bit of implementation effort, and that's really meant for citizen developers or just anyone out there that's comfortable to implement a solution. But again, you're paying per token. And then custom agents, well, I'll dive into what some of those are, but these are areas or functionality where you might have potential infrastructure costs, operating costs that are much different from some of the other solutions. So most of the solutions, it's really just tokens. Custom agents can be other things, and we'll dive into what those are in a minute. So let's just talk about the implementation, what you're implementing, what the cost is to get it up and running. So in general, we tend to implement on a time and materials basis. Admittedly, that's not for everyone. We try and do our best, like I said, to get some estimate of costs up front, but it can be difficult to give an exact estimate because everyone has different infrastructure. Sometimes we find these solutions evolve a little bit over time, and there can be some scope creep. We try and do our best to limit that. But again, time materials we find is the best way to implement these AI solutions. Now, if you're using an out-of-the-box agent, again, those are offered in a variety of Microsoft products at this point, if not almost all of them. Those offer a little bit more cost certainty on the implementation because obviously those are tried and tested solutions. And so the cost ends up being more operating costs at that point. Now, for the rest of this, I'll focus a little bit more on some custom AI solutions. Now, I talked about those custom solutions can be in Copilot Studio. They can be something highly customized. I'm talking about those really highly customized items, because if you're just building something in Copilot Studio, well, quite frankly, in general, you can build that yourself, or we can help teach you. But if you're looking at a more highly customized agent, there's definitely going to be more development costs. So number one, you're going to have to make sure you've got quality data. I think we've talked a lot in some of the other AI sessions around how data is the backbone for a lot of these AI solutions, and poor data is going to lead to poor results. So there's probably some sort of efforts you might need to take to clean up your data, whether that be just cleaning up duplicate data, implementing or adding missing data, or adding some sort of data security elements. There's probably some data readiness that needs to occur, and that's going to take time from your team and effort from your team. With a custom agent, there can be infrastructure costs. Now, hopefully, if you're watching this, most of your data is in the cloud already. That tackles the vast majority of potential issues. But if you're not in the cloud, then there's obviously going to be movement of data. You're going to need some infrastructure. And so just consider there's going to be some potential infrastructure costs. The one thing I also like to highlight with infrastructure costs is it depending on how you're using the AI model or the AI agent, that can require different infrastructure. So as an example, if you need to interact with the AI in real time, you're going to have greater infrastructure needs. Next, you're probably going to need some sort of oversight over your AI solution, especially if it's something custom. So staff are going to need education and training on how to oversee and how to manage that agent. We recommend a center of excellence when we are implementing AI solutions. That ensures that team is knowledgeable on the solution, can maintain it moving forward. Therefore, if your team's maintaining it, that brings down cost over time. But there's still costs to training the actual team themselves. And then last but not least, think about maintenance. You got to keep your system healthy, keep your agent healthy. You got to make sure there's no data drift. You make sure they're going to need to make sure there's alerting and potential retraining added into any budget you're going to have. So you're going to make sure that you are actually auditing the system and maintaining it as you move forward. Ultimately, these agents are undertaking a task or fulfilling some sort of business objective. And you need to manage them as such, the same way you would manage a staff member. So just make sure you implement some sort of monitoring and maintenance into your process. So that's implementation. Let's talk about operating. Now, the majority of operating costs tend to be from tokens or tokenization. If you're using an out-of-the-box model from any of the popular providers like OpenAI, Llama, or Grok, the way that provider is monetizing that is through what's called tokenizations. And tokens are really determined based on the size of the content you exchange. And I'll go into a bit deeper level on that shortly. But at a high level, tokens are 1 penny USD per token. So a low cost, but depending on how many tokens you're using, that number can escalate pretty quickly. So the thing to keep in mind is those pre-trained models, you pay per what we call a token or piece of text that's processed, not necessarily per request. In a custom model, things are much different. You're paying for resource consumption, so like CPU or GPU consumption. So the cost is literally tied to the training time, the volume of data used, so on and so forth. So you're paying for resource consumption in some of those custom models. That is probably not the way a lot of folks end up going. Maybe some, depending on the scale of how you want to implement your AI. But we work with you to estimate those costs if you do go that custom route. I just like to highlight it here. The last but not least, I always highlight storage and movement costs. Again, if you're in the cloud, that should tackle a lot of the storage and movement costs already. but not all of you are in the cloud, and you may need to move some of your data around in order to allow the AI model to consume it. So that storage is going to have a cost for the capacity that you're using. So I definitely highlight that to some, but I will wrap that all around the fact that tokenization tends to be the vast majority, if not close to 100% of the cost for most solutions that our customers are working with. So with that said, what the heck is a token? Well, as I mentioned earlier, it's a penny USD per token on a pay-as-you-go model. So you can set up billing such that you just pay for every token you use, and Microsoft will charge your credit card. You can buy in bulk, so they sell 25,000 packs of tokens for $200 USD per month as well. And like the slide mentions here, they're really the building blocks for how the model consumes whatever it is it's consuming. So I gave a few examples on here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a token can be as little as a fraction of a word. It can be a single character or a full word, depending on what it is. It's just how AI breaks down the understanding or the comprehension of what it is it's reading or consuming. So I've got a nice quote here from Wayne Gretzky, a famous hockey player. I love hockey. I'm a hockey fan, and the season's just getting underway here. You miss 100% of this, 100% of the shots you don't take. For AI to comprehend that is 11 tokens. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context around what the heck a token is and how it relates to, comprehending some of the phrases that we put in there. So that hopefully gives you a good idea of some of the costs. Again, we can't give specific costing on specific projects until we go through that prototyping exercise, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of a better understanding. With that said, we like to frame the conversation around what is the return on that investment. If you're incurring a lot of costs and getting a little benefit, probably not a project you want to undertake. You really need to focus on those specific business objectives that maximize ROI in order to, see a good ROI. We like to, as we're assessing those objectives or assessing those projects, we typically use the ICE framework to assess them. So that's impact, confidence, and ease of implementation. So the impact that the solution is going to have on the organization, the confidence that you'll be successful, and the ease of which you can implement. So it's really those three together that help frame how or which initiatives you move forward with. Some of the out-of-the-box initiatives might have a better confidence in success, might be a little bit easier to implement, but maybe a little bit less impact because they're more generic in nature. Some of the custom stuff, a little bit higher impact, but it's going to bring about lower confidence, definitely some more effort to implement those. So something to think about when deciding what to move forward with. Some people like to get some of those quick wins, so they'll use some of the out-of-the-box AI options to because they can be confident, they'll think it's easy to implement. But again, tends to have lower impact when you go with those out-of-the-box solutions. Now, when you are implementing, I always recommend that people avoid a number of pitfalls or anchors, things that can weigh down the project, what I would call enemies of ROI. Bad data is definitely the top one. Data, as I mentioned at the start, is kind of the backbone for all these solutions. Bad data is going to lead to bad results. You probably hear that throughout all the AI presentations, but there's probably some data cleanup that is often required, I'll say. So avoid having bad data or not cleaning up some of that data. Scope creep is another big one. I often highlight that because scope creep can happen on both ends of the spectrum, whether the project going well or going poorly. We often find, with poor projects, you're wasting time and resource, or poorly run projects, I should say. We're wasting time and resources chasing perhaps the wrong things. When things are going really well and you're seeing a lot of success, we tend to see people trying to add to the scope. So on both ends of the spectrum, we can see costs escalate. So definitely need to be very focused on the objectives. And if you do want to change the solution over time, we often recommend that is a next phase. How one architect's solution can have a big impact on costs. I talked earlier on the implementation side about infrastructure can be a challenge or a cost. So we try and work with our clients to make sure they have the proper infrastructure, the right architecture of the solution. But just know that that can be a big driver of costs. And then the last one I'll highlight is accuracy of the model. So if you're trying to achieve 100% accuracy or 100% of whatever objective you're trying to achieve, that can be a challenge. There's a big difference between 99% and 100%. The marginal cost to move from, say, like a 99% solution to a 100% solution can completely blow the budget away. And that's really not the objective of AI. AI always has this concept of human in the loop, and that tends to take care of the difference between your 100% and whatever you're at. Hopefully at a high percentage, but again, maybe not necessarily 100, because to get that 100%, again, very, very costly. As you're going through and evaluating your solutions, people tend to also think about just cost reduction, and that's natural. But I also like to encourage people to think about how you can scale the organization or grow the organization as well, because a lot of times people forget about those types of opportunities. Again, I'm a hockey fan. The price of hockey tickets can be different based on the team that is coming to town. I cheer for the Maple Leafs. When the Ottawa Senators or Montreal Canadiens come to town, those are high ticket prices. When maybe a non-rival team is in town, those ticket prices go down. Saturday nights, tickets prices are higher. Tuesday nights, a little bit lower. So, dynamic pricing strategies, how can that maybe be implemented in your organization? You probably use, online shopping like Amazon or others. They will cross-sell you. If you buy, diapers, it'll suggest wet wipes or whatever other related products. So could you use cross-sell opportunities to grow the basket that your customer is buying? Something to think about, because not all organizations, not all ERPs, not all CRMs are using cross-sell recommendations or those dynamic pricing options. Even within CRM, think about how you can hyper-personalize some of your sales outreach. There's probably a ton of data in your CRM about individual people, individual organizations. You right now might be reaching out with generic marketing campaigns. Well, you can write a hyper-personalized email, or AI can write a hyper-personalized email based on that information. So you might have the same overall message, but it's hyper-personalized, might look like it comes from you. AI can help you achieve those results, and hopefully then leading to more and more sales. So again, I wrap all those comments and think about scaling the organization as opposed to cost reduction. Cost reduction is going to come really easily. I'm not saying don't think about cost reduction, but I'm just want to encourage everyone to think about scaling as well. Okay. That's really all I had to talk about today. I'll wrap up by saying definitely reach out to our teams at info@websam.com or info@randgroup.com. We can help with some of the prototyping exercises. We can help with getting you rough costing. I know, again, costing can be difficult. I'll mention that over and over again, but we can help with that prototyping exercise that can hopefully get you closer to your end goal. Thanks. Appreciate your time. And if there's any questions, again, feel free to reach out.